Man, has it ever been raining a lot? And I had a shitty weekend because it has rained a lot recently in Lunenburg. So, I was really bored and I decided to do another Otaku Bandito video review. And by the way, I changed the name back because I want to celebrate my anniversary of doing my videos of the Otaku Bandito. And this is yet going to be another Otaku Bandito video review with the Ashen style, so don't expect to see much of the Otaku Bandito. And I'm going to be reviewing what is known as my first ever video game console that I ever had. And it is the Game Boy! Alright. The Nintendo Game Boy was released in 1989, and it was basically Nintendo's first ever handheld video game console that they ever made to include interchangeable cartridges. Well, basically, these are what the cartridges look like. They're very small for the time being. Well, Nintendo wasn't the first video game company to include interchangeable cartridges in a handheld video game console. Milton Bradley was, because they made the Microvision, which isn't very micro at all. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Game Boy. Believe it or not, this handheld video game console is actually really popular, and it was one of the best-selling handheld video game consoles in the history of video games. Well, there's not much to say about this handheld video game console in detail other than the battery system. It takes about 4 AA batteries, which sounds like a lot, but the battery life on this handheld video game console is surprisingly really good. I think it could last up to 35 hours, which is impressive. It's still impressive. It can even outlast a large tablet like the iPad. It's very good. So let's turn on this handheld video game console. Have to get in the light because you want to see what's going on. Here we are. Alright. Well, the game I have in the system is Blades of Steel. Well, basically I do not have any of the classic Game Boy games other than Pokemon Silver, which is a game that I have played a lot since a kid. Since I was a kid. Alright, here we are. Well, Blades of Steel is basically a hockey game, but it has some fun mini games on there. Alright, so the mini game we're playing is Fight. It actually has pretty good music. So, the Fight mini game is basically a button masher. Not much to say. Alright, so, moving on. Alright, so, the other handheld system the second handheld system that I ever owned as a kid is the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance was released in 2001. It was released 3 years after the Game Boy Micro. And as you know, the Game Boy Advance has an 8-bit sound, but it's a 32-bit handheld video game console. It's not like the PlayStation, but it can generate 3D graphics very good. It can generate them like the Super Nintendo. And as I said before, it's not like the PlayStation. This is a totally different 32-bit video game system. And this one was actually also very good. The cartridges are smaller than the Game Boy cartridges. Here it is. You see that? That's to indicate that they're smaller. And yes, the battery system is actually better than the original Game Boy. Sure, it doesn't last as long, but you only need 2 AA batteries. Well, unlike the original Game Boy, this doesn't have a power connector, so you can't run it off the plug. So, let's turn on the Game Boy Advance. And believe it or not, this was actually the first ever handheld video game console I've ever bought. The Game Boy that I had I actually got it from my brother, and he won it. And I believe he actually won it at a Halloween themed contest in Sobeys. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Game Boy Advance. The game I have in the system is Top Gear Rally. Well, I have Super Mario Advance as well. And I actually played that a lot as a kid. Here we go. Let's point the camera at the system so you want to see what's going on. Here we are. Let's do this, man. Come on. Just ignore the shaking, okay? Here we are. Let's do quick race. It's actually a really good racing game for the Game Boy Advance. Alright. Not much to say about this game. Not going to go too in depth because this is going to be a review of the handheld system only. Oh yeah. This game is actually very good for its time, considering it was 3D, and it was very impressive for the Game Boy Advance. It's like a proper playable game. So, moving on. And I also have to tell you that there's backwards compatibility with older Game Boy games and the Game Boy Advance. What I mean by that, the Game Boy Advance is backwards compatible with both Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Wow, that was an unexpected jump cut. Well, anyway, like the original Game Boy, you have to put it into the light in order to see what's going on. Alright, so here we go into battle. It's actually a fun game. Alright, fight. Leer. Well, we're fighting against a pigeon, I think. Tackle. Oh, it's actually called Pidgey. Leer. Alright, so it's not much to say. If you've played Pokemon, you're familiar with the whole concept, so let's go on to the conclusion. So in conclusion, the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance were both really good handhelds, and they did very well. In fact, as you know, the original Game Boy was the best handheld for its time and place. And many handhelds try to compete with it and try to take it down, like the Sega Game Gear, the Atari Lynx, and of course the Quick Shot Supervision or Watara Supervision, just to name a few. And the Game Boy Advance was also a very good handheld system for its time. Unfortunately, you had to put it into the light in order to see what's going on, but that has been improved with the Game Boy Advance SP. I don't have a Game Boy Advance SP, but I've heard it's supposed to be better than the Game Boy Advance. It's supposed to have a lithium-ion battery. It's supposed to have a backlight built in, kind of like the DS, which was produced a year later. So, overall, this is probably one of the most informative videos I have ever done. Probably it's family friendly, unlike some of my other videos that I've done, with the exception of the foul language. So, if I get a hold of every Game Boy in existence, I'm probably going to do, probably will eventually do a video about the whole entire Game Boy family. So, I'll see you then. Goodbye.